Finally, at long last, the humble plains of Team Fortress have returned to normal. The bots, having been eradicated by a noble contractor, have seemingly vanished for the time being. And you know what they say. While the bots are at bay, the gnomes will come out and play. Yes, the dawn of the gnome is finally here. They ventured out from their earthen homes in the ground and now seek to play amongst the average player. But now you might be thinking to yourself, why now? Why have the gnomes only now decided to reveal themselves? And well, the answer is quite simple.
The Gnome Dome wasn't out yet!
Correct indeed. So anyways, what exactly is a Team Fortress gnome? Well, the Team Fortress gnome is simply a subclass of engineer that dresses as a gnome. And since the gnome is both in fact part gnome and part engineer, this class can also alternatively be referred to as the Enginome. The Enginome, although rarely seen, can be easily identified by their signature style, wearing a gnome dome as a hat, an insulated inventor to keep them warm, and a pair of Flashdance footies. Their peculiar nature also makes them quite simple to spot, as the Enginome doesn't behave quite like a regular player, but rather as a peaceful friendly that sometimes causes just a little bit of mischief. You see, the Enginome's favorite thing to do is simply roam around the battlefield looking to make friends, playing a few games, doing a little dancing, and of course, from time to time, playing a little prank or two. But if left unattended for too long, the lonesome Enginome will grow bored, and this unfortunately is where the Enginome will begin to cause a little bit of trouble. If left ignored for too long, the Enginome will begin building teleporters that are often either one of two things: incredible flank spots that help lead your team to victory, or remarkably useless teleporters that take you to the opposite end of the map or to your very doom.
No, it's not. I fucking
There is often, unfortunately, no in-between, so taking a gnome's teleporter is always a gamble. But teammates, please try and keep in mind, the gnome by no means any harm by these actions. It's simply within their very devilish nature to pull pranks on their newfound friends. It's their very way of joining in on the fun.
Whoever built that teleporter, I hope you die of cardiac arrest, and I love you too.
And gnomes, make sure to always laugh at your teammates when they fall for one of your devious tricks, as to ensure them that you find their new unfortunate fates just as funny as they do. Also, worth mentioning, if a gnome is attempting to speak to you in game text, you might find their language a bit difficult to understand. But rest assured, it's quite easy to actually decipher them as long as you know what to look for. The gnomes speak mostly just like we do, only using silent G's before words starting with the letter N, or in place of silent K's used in other words. For instance, the gnome might tell your team something like, "We don't need any more engineers." Or, for instance,
You're a troll, bro.
if someone were to mistake a gnome for a troll, the gnome might reply, "I am not a troll, I am a gnome." Or, of course, in the case of someone being offended by the gnome's actions, they may always ask, "What is wrong with you?" Which the gnome will reply, "I lack social interaction and human cues. I don't know." But there it is. Now you know just about everything you'll need to know about this rare subclass, the Enginome. But wait, there is one more teensy tiny detail I suppose I should mention. Please do not shoot at the gnome. While the gnome is friendly in their very nature, shooting at one too often will lead to a 1 in 10 chance of the gnome evolving into what is called the Rage Gnome, a much larger version of the gnome that is not quite so playful and not quite so friendly. And if you happen to meet one of these gnomes in-game, may God spare mercy on your very soul, because rest assured, the Rage Gnome will not. Anywho, happy gnoming, everyone. Get out there and spread a little bit of mischief.
I'm not a gnome. I'm not a gnoblin. I'm a gnome. And you've been gnome.
You are Big Joey, the worst TF2ber. You are Big Joey, log off your computer. I'm hanging out with my buddy DeCoubers.
Thank you, Big Joey. You suck on my pooper.